Hi, I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Evan.
And we are within hiking distance. We were on an 18-month road trip going to 22 national parks. We drove about 29,000 miles and visited 11 states. And welcome on our channel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. I want to say hello to the people in the chat first. Hi, West Coast Hiking, Lance. Very nice to have you with us. Thank you so much. Hi, Kay from Happy Trails Hiking. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
And I see Dave from Desmond Donders. Hi, thank you so much. I see my mom. Bonjour, maman. And Ruth me. Oh, hi, guys. Great to have you with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, wow, we have a lot of people with us today. Outdoor Nomad. Good afternoon. Nice to see you again. From this morning, Steve, and wonderful. Lots of people in the chat. That's great to have you all with us. Yes, so today we are going to talk about visiting national parks 101, and we're going to have three parts of it. So first, what you need to do before you leave, then what to do when you get to the national park, and finally the do's and don'ts for visiting national parks. And I see Marty, Tony from Marty's Crew, our family adventures. Hi, thank you for joining. So great to have you with us.
Yep. Great. So as Alex mentioned, we were on an 18-month road trip visiting 22 national parks. There's 61 national parks throughout the United States and over 400 locations that include national parks, national monuments, national forests, etc. So a lot of places to see within the United States. And today we're going to talk about the national parks for the most part, but this applies to the national monuments and other National Park Service sites as well.
So the first part is going to be about before you leave, and West Coast Hiking says never go on a holiday weekend, especially Yosemite Valley. Yes, that's an excellent point, Lance.
Yeah, any of those big ones, Yosemite, Zion, it's I'm sure it's messy. All right. So before you leave, the first thing that one would do would be looking at the maps and the places you want to visit inside the United States. So easy place is Google Maps to get your distances from your house to the park or the monument, and also checking online. I guess all the national park services for the national parks have maps of their own park. So a great place to check out day hiking, backpacking, road closures, and other interesting information that you might want to know prior to the park before you go there. Yep.
Then second, you want to check out what season is best to actually visit the national park that you want to see, because sometimes you want to go during the summer. I don't know, for example, it's summer and you have your kids and you think, I should go to Death Valley. Well, no. So you need to be careful about which season is the best, just so that you have the best experience in that national park and it's fun for everyone. So for example, famous national parks like Yellowstone, Yosemite, just like Lance from West Coast Hiking said, are crowded during between Memorial Day and Labor Day weekends, and during major holidays as well. So that's definitely a moment, if you can, you really want to avoid them. Maybe spend a longer weekend there would be more fun than going over that period of time. And Zion National Park in Utah is busy practically all year long, and so if you want to go there, really just a couple of months where if you can avoid the crowds, then that would be definitely better to visit. And so on this subject, on shoulder season traveling, we actually did a live about it last week or 2 weeks ago. So we are going to put the link in. We have the link in the description of this live, and it's going to pop up on the chat as well.
Yep. So right, you mentioned Zion fall through spring, and then the fall and spring. New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, any of those places in the south that might have more temperate weather are great to visit during between the fall and spring periods. Mm-hmm. And we all had a question of what's your favorite national park from Unrumi, and mine's Yellowstone. So
yes, nice. Yes, Yellowstone is nice. I really liked Bryce Canyon National Park. It's just the beauty of it doesn't reflect at all on pictures. And before we went there, I thought, okay, it looks very nice and interesting. But then when I saw it, I was really moved by how beautiful it was. So I think maybe that's the one I would prefer.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So for summer, so you have to go on a road trip. You want to see national parks with your kids, and it's during the summer. There are a lot of great places you can visit. Lassen Volcanic National Park in California is absolutely wonderful. It's temperate. It has a lot of features, volcanic and great hikes, different kind of hikes that are family friendly. So that's a really fun place to visit. Other places include Crater Lake in Oregon. Best usually after 4th of July, because depending on how much snow they had in the beginning of the year, they can still have a lot of snow on the road even early in July.
Yep.
Washington State. So I think any national park in Washington State are very nice. Olympic National Park, Mount Rainier, the North Cascades, all of them are there. Olympic is definitely more family friendly.
I will just continue. Carefully allocate your time in each place during your visit. So if you visit a large national park like Yellowstone, Yosemite, Death Valley, definitely take 3 days at least to look through that park. There's going to be a lot of trails, a lot of different areas in that park that are far away from each other, so you want to take that time to visit those places.
Yeah, it's usually, at least for the big parks, you want at least 3 days. And that's really a bare minimum, but that will give you the opportunity to really explore, because there's a lot of driving involved in these parks. And now we're going to Death Valley is huge. Yes, Happy Trails hiking. It is enormous. It's the second biggest national park in the U.S. So it has a lot of square mileage footage. And now about accommodation. So you're planning on going to see a national park, and so you probably want to look into a place that is close to the national park and that has a decent price. So we visited a lot of national parks and national monuments, as well as some state parks as well. And some parks are remote, and so the closest budget hotel might be about 45-minute drive from the entrance of the national park. So it might be good to actually look into hotels that are closer to the entrance of the national park. That might be a little more expensive, but actually it would balance out the amount of money you would put in for the gas. So instead of driving 45 minutes and paying $10 less or $15 less, you might want to pay $15 more but not have to put in more gas as often as you would if you would have to do an hour and a half round trip. So that's one thing to take into account.
Right, and if you decide to camp, book as far in advance as possible. I think you're allowed to book about 6 months in advance for most national parks, at least. So definitely you want to get in early, get those spots reserved, because if you it's going to be impossible to book, especially in the more popular parks, a couple weeks in advance. They just fill up super fast. It's hard to get a spot. Sometimes there'll be walk-in loops. So we were just in Mount Rainier National Park, and they had one loop dedicated to walk-ins, and even there you gotta, get there at 7 a.m. When someone's moving out, you back your car in and you take that place. Or you go in during the off season. So I was just in North Cascades National Park this past weekend, and I was able to book a couple of weeks in advance and grab a spot. So, and even a lot of the places up here north, during the off season, they don't take reservations, so it's all walk-in. So that's easy time. But for the most part, yeah, it's going to be tough. So book in advance.
And Kay from Happy Trails Hiking says that she and her husband Matt camp and stay in national parks as much as they can. So if you have the tent and you want to go camping, then that's definitely sometimes a better option than staying at the hotel. It just helps you really experience the national park. And West Coast Hiking Lance mentions that national park websites have a lot of great information and advisories as well. So on openings and what's available. So it's always good to go on the national parks website, the NPS website, to see what's going on there in that specific national park. So definitely. Camping is a great option, and it's fairly decently priced in national parks, and there are many campsites, so it's usually accessible. You should be able to find a campsite. If you go in season during the busy season, then you definitely want to book ahead, just like Evan mentioned. And then if you go off season, then you can just do it a week before or 2 weeks before, or the walk-ins just that Evan just mentioned. You can also, the thing is, sometimes for state parks, for example, camping sites are actually very expensive. They can range up to, if you add the fees, because they have website fees and credit card fees and all that, that can add up to easily $40 a night, when for national parks it's a little cheaper, maybe between $16 $26 a night. So you might definitely want to look at that in advance as well, just to have an idea of how much it's going to cost you. And also, if in national parks the campsites are all booked, sometimes there are private campsites just outside the national parks, and so you can look into these as well when you're on site, and they tend to be more expensive as well than in national parks. So it's just whatever you feel comfortable with on the price tag, pretty much.
So when you get to national parks, and I think I saw, and we'll actually get there, but someone mentioned definitely get the America the Beautiful pass before you go to national parks. So we'll talk about that, and that's definitely the way to go. But so definitely before you get to a national park, fill up your gas tank. It's going to be a lot cheaper outside the park than it is inside the park for the most part. So yeah, definitely try to just look on the map, see what the nearest town is, then you can look up gas prices online, and it'll be worth your while to save a couple bucks on gas.
Definitely. And so, like West Coast Hiking Lance was mentioning, get your America the Beautiful pass when you enter your first national park. So it's a pass that's currently $80 for 12 months. So it's worth it, because an entrance of a national park can be between...
Yeah, it depends, but yeah.
It depends.
25 for a week or up. Yeah, it just depends on the park.
It depends on the park, and so if you just visit one national park for a week and you then go home, it's not necessarily worth it to get an America the Beautiful pass. But then if you're going to go and see a different national park right after, or if you're thinking about visiting a couple in the next 12 months, then that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it also works at national monuments, and even other areas. We were in Lake Tahoe, and along that side there was some hiking trails along the side of the road, and I think you had to pay, but otherwise the America the Beautiful pass worked, I think, at some of those hiking trails. So yeah, you never know where it might be come in handy.
Right. Yes, definitely. And there are a couple of versions. So there's America the Beautiful that is $80. That's for anybody, and then there's also one that is for senior citizens. So I think it's 60 and above or 65. I can't remember what's the exact age, but then that's $80 for the lifetime. So after a senior citizen will only pay $80 for America the Beautiful to last them forever. And there's also a program called Every Kid in the Park, and so for all fourth graders they have free access to National Park the entire time of their school year. So from end of August until I guess it would be end of August to end of August, the whole family can go to a national park with the fourth grader to enjoy the parks for free. So that's a good advantage to take off as well.
Okay. Parking is another thing that you want to do. So once you get there, you need to decide what time you're going to arrive at the parking lot. So definitely better the earlier the better. Roads get packed in most of the national parks. For example, during the season in Yellowstone, those roads will be pretty full. Grand Prismatic, you want to get there early if you want to get a parking spot. Same with Zion National Park. That is a big parking lot, but it fills up super early. So you want to get there at 7 or 8 a.m. Even just to get the parking spot. Otherwise, you'll be driving around for a long time looking for a spot. Because you have to, during the season, you have to park there, then you take a shuttle bus to the hike. So, I mean, people just leave their cars there all day, and so you're gonna have to wait till someone comes back. So it's tough to find a parking spot. So definitely look to get at those popular ones around 8 a.m. During the off season, we haven't had too much of an issue finding parking. So just best way to avoid the crowds is to get there early.
Mm-hmm. And Elf Lore's Journey, hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us during our show. And he mentions that he took the shuttle right from his hotel in Zion. So there are hotels right outside in Springdale, right outside Zion, and there's a shuttle that brings you inside Zion, and then from Zion you need to take a different shuttle to go all the way through the park. So that he seems to be happy with that. So it kind of depends on how comfortable you are with taking shuttles and how close you want to be to the park.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes, definitely. So you want to go to the visitor center, because park rangers have all the tips about what to do and see according to what you like to do, what you want to see. So they can tell you which trails are closed, which trails will be the best, will have the best views, will be the best for your hiking level if you want to hike, or if you have the whole family, if you took grandma and grandpa with you, then finding easy trails that they can also enjoy without having to be tired. Or it's about having a good time when you go to national parks. So they can also tell you where you can maybe spot wildlife, and they just provide great tips.
Here we are.
Yes, we're back.
Okay.
We need an IT person with us all the time. I know, someone pulled the plug again, Lance. Who's pranking us?
4 minutes.
So you want to watch that introductory movie because it's really going to give you a good introduction about the national park, the geology features, and the kind of wildlife you can see, and also flowers. So it's very nice to definitely have a look at that before you hit the trails.
All right. When you visit national parks, it's sometimes fun to collect things, souvenirs. What we did, we got the national park passport, and we've put a ton of stamps in there from all our voyages. So it's a good way to track which days you went. and track which locations you went to.
Yeah. So there are also stickers.
Yep, stickers, pins, posters. You can see behind us lots of stuff to collect.
Yes, so you can definitely get some nice souvenirs from the shops in the national parks, and every profit that's made in those shops go back into the national park. So it's nice also to buy on the site as well. And if you have kids, you want to ask for the Junior Ranger program. So this is a free booklet that are given to children. They usually as the age of the child, and there are age appropriate activities all through the book that are going to talk about the national park. It could be, for example, which hike did you go on, what did you see, did you see any wildlife, and so these are very fun activities, and they help the child to really think a little bit about the place where he's at, and also learning good things like we don't put trash on the floor, we stay on the trails. So it's a very nice thing to do, and our son loved more than doing the activities. He loved the activities, but he loved receiving his Junior Ranger badge. That was definitely the biggest highlight here. Is a Junior Ranger badge from Mount Rainier, and that was definitely something he really wanted to have. And these are also available in national monuments. So if you go in national monument, you can also ask for a Junior Ranger program. In state parks, they tend to ask for a fee for those. They also have programs. I think you have to pay a couple of dollars. It's not very expensive to get the booklet and be able to get the badge as well.
All right, so last couple minutes, so we got some do's and don'ts. Always bring plenty of water and food. We took a baby carrier on our trip, and a lot of it was, it had some water in there. Alexandra had her backpack, had water and food in there. So definitely be prepared for going out on hikes and going on your trip. And another one would be always keep a safe distance from animals and don't feed wildlife. Yellowstone, you see articles every year about people, getting too close to the animals, and just keep a safe distance on that, and you could end up injured. So yeah, so we were able, we saw a lot of animals on our trips. You can see them in some of our videos, but yeah, Yellowstone, always see animals, and the bear on the screen there is from Sequoia National Park.
Right, it was really close, and it actually walked behind us on the trail, and it was much bigger than we expected it to be. And there's a lot of discussion in the chat about the badges and how it's the highlights for Tony's daughter Lizzie. She's a Junior Ranger, and so it's definitely a big highlight. And I know that in some parks they actually offer badges for adults. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah,
but there are a couple of them. Saguaro National Park offers that, and Mount Rainier National Park also offers. So it's a different booklet, and it's different activities, but you could still get a badge if you want one. So back to the do's and don'ts. So you want to be aware of, so you don't want to, it's staying on the wildlife, sorry, I'm losing. Staying on the wildlife, you don't want to keep food in your car when you stay in bear country, and that includes Yosemite National Park, because bears are going to just smash your car, at least smash the window to get to the food. They are very strong, and they can get through the windows. So we've seen pictures of damages that bears have done on cars, and so it's definitely not something you want to. So avoid having food in your car. If you're camping, then put them in the bear proof safe. Bear
locker.
Bear lockers.
Okay.
That's easier. And yes, and be aware of selfies also.